Hey everybody, welcome back to the Maple Grove Scripture Reading Podcast. So last time we were in chapter 37 of the book of Job in verses 14 through 20. After several episodes of describing what God does through weather, Elihu turns and speaks directly to Job, and he asks a series of questions. Do you know how the clouds hang poised in the sky? Can you explain why you're sweltering in your clothes in the south wind? Can you join God in spreading out the skies? Every question was pointing at the same thing. He's saying things like, you want God to explain himself to you, but you can't even explain the clouds. And then Elihu did something unexpected. He said, we cannot draw up our case because of our darkness. And so he includes himself, not just Job. All of them are in the dark. And he closes with a sharp question. Would anyone actually demand to speak to God directly? Would anyone ask to be swallowed up? Well, today we're still going to be in chapter 37. We're actually going to finish the chapter and look at verses 21 through 24. This is the last thing that Elihu says before God speaks. So let me read through it. Now, no one can look at the sun, bright as it is in the skies after the wind has swept them clean. Out of the north he comes in golden splendor. God comes in awesome majesty. The Almighty is beyond our reach and exalted in power. In his justice and great righteousness he does not oppress. Therefore people revere him, for does he not have regard for all the wise in heart? Now, you know what happens when you accidentally glance at the sun on a clear day? Your eyes force you to look away immediately, right? Because it physically hurts. But here's the thing. What we're actually seeing in that split second isn't even the full intensity of the sun. The light has already traveled 93 million miles and passed through the entire depth of our atmosphere before it reaches us. So it's been scattered and diffused and filtered the whole way. We're seeing a diminished version of it, and we still can't even look at it. So after the wind sweeps the clouds clean, the sun blazes and nobody can look at it. It's one created object running on the fuel God gave it, and we still can't face it directly. And if we can't face the sun, how are we going to assume that we can face its maker? For several episodes now, Elihu has been describing a gathering storm, the thunder, the lightning, the ice, the snow, and the whole time, something has been building behind all of it, and now it arrives. He says, out of the north, he comes in golden splendor. God comes in awesome majesty. And I don't think this is just a metaphor. Elihu is describing what he's watching happen in the sky above him. In the ancient world, the north was where God was said to dwell, the direction his presence came from. And as Elihu has been speaking, as the storm has rolled in, a light has appeared. Not just brightness, but golden splendor. The Hebrew word is zahav, the word for gold itself. A blazing golden radiance breaking through the storm clouds from the north. God is coming. That's why Elihu has been so urgent. He's not just making an argument anymore. He's watching it happen and trying to get Job to see it before it's too late to keep arguing. His heart was pounding back in verses 1 through 5. His words have gotten more fragmented as the chapter's gone on. He's been pointing at the sky the whole time, and now the golden light is actually there. Now think about what that moment must have felt like for everyone in that conversation. 37 chapters of human voices, Job and his three friends going back and forth, making their cases, pressing their arguments, accusing each other. Then Elihu arriving and adding 4 more speeches of his own. All of it human, all of it finite people trying to work out the question of why this happened and what God is doing and whether it's just. And now there's gold in the northern sky, and the conversation's about to end. But before the conversation ends, Elihu says 3 things about God. He's beyond our reach, he is exalted in power, and in his justice and great righteousness, he does not oppress. Now, we've heard the first 2 all the way through this speech. God is vast, God is powerful, but the third one is what ties it all together. All that power, and he doesn't use it to crush people. The justice is real. The righteousness is real. They're not in tension with the power. They're part of the same God. He's not powerful sometimes and just other times. It's all one thing. And that's what Elihu's been trying to get Job to see. Not a full explanation of why this happened to him, just a picture of who God is. Vast, unreachable, and genuinely just. He does not oppress. The God you're dealing with is not arbitrary or cruel. His ways are beyond what you can see, but that doesn't make them wrong. Job has spent this whole book pushing back against what felt like injustice. And that feeling was real. The pain was real. Nobody in this book really dismisses it, but Elihu is saying the one who holds all of this is not the kind of God who oppresses. That's not everything, but it's something. He continues, therefore, people revere him. All of it was building to this. The storm, the sun you can't look at, the gold in the north. It's building to reverence. Not something you argue someone into, but a place you end up. Now, you've probably felt a version of this, standing somewhere so big that you just stop, whether it be the ocean or a night sky far from any city. There's a moment where you quit trying to take it all in, and something quieter happens instead. And that's close to what Elihu is describing. Job has cried out and argued and demanded answers throughout this whole book. And that's not wrong. God never calls it wrong. The Psalms are full of that. But what Elihu is pointing to is what's on the other side of all of that. Not giving up on your questions, more like running out of your own resources and just stopping. You've maybe been in a season like that where you've pushed as hard and as long as you can, and at some point you just don't have anything left to push with. And in that place, if you're honest, something shifts. Standing before God, who is more just than you can measure and more powerful than you can hold in your mind, not silenced, just quieted. And then comes the final line. For does he not have regard for all the wise in heart? Now, you can read this in a couple of ways. One way is that God doesn't defer to people who think that they're wise. He doesn't answer to those who believe their own understanding is enough to evaluate him. That reading lands pretty directly on Job, who's argued his case throughout this book with a lot of confidence in his own reasoning. Now, the other way to look at this is a lot more soft. God has regard for people who are genuinely wise, the ones who come to him with humility rather than demands. The wise in heart are the ones who know their limits. Either way, Elihu is closing on wisdom. Job has been smart throughout the book. He's argued well, but being smart and being able to see the whole picture, they're not the same thing. We all see part of it. The wise in heart are the ones who know that and hold their conclusions a little more loosely. The right response isn't to argue louder, it's to revere. And at this point, Elihu stops talking. He came into this conversation determined to do better than the three friends. He wasn't going to reduce everything to, you must have sinned. He was going to show that suffering has a purpose, that God speaks through it, and that the creation itself bears witness to who God is. And he pretty much did all of that. 4 speeches across 6 chapters. He said things none of the other speakers said, that God delivers people in their suffering, not after it. That his eye never leaves the righteous, even when they're in the hardest place. That God woos, not just commands. But now he goes quiet because the argument from creation has brought everyone to the edge of something that he can't take them past. He's been pointing at the sky for the last several episodes, watching the storm gather, seeing the golden light from the north. And so he's done what he came to do, and there's nothing left to say. Now, what's coming next, Job has been asking for 37 chapters. He wanted to bring his case before God. He wanted an answer. And now the answer is going to come. Chapter 38 opens with, Then the Lord spoke out of the whirlwind. After 37 chapters of human voices, God answers. And that's where we're going to head next time as we get into chapter 38. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. God bless.